Hello, St. John's friends. Thanks for joining me today. A couple of pieces here I'm going to talk about in a minute. But first, I want to share with you from John's Gospel, chapter 6. Jesus has gone to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, and he looks up and he saw a large crowd coming toward him. Jesus said to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread for these people to eat?" He said this to test him, for he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 6 months' wages would not buy enough bread for each of them to get even a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "There's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are they among so many people?" Jesus said, "Make the people sit down." Now there was a great deal of grass in the place, so they sat down, about 5,000 in all. Then Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated, so also the fish, as much as they wanted. When they were satisfied, he told his disciples, "Gather up the fragments left over, so that nothing may be lost." So they gathered them up, and from the fragments of the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten, they filled 12 baskets. When the people saw the sign that he had done, they began to say, "This is indeed the prophet who is to come into the world." We see here what Jesus thinks about taking care of hungry people. I love this passage. This is such an amazing story. And I lift up particularly that piece where he turns to Philip and asks a question, even though he knows what he's already going to do. Where are we going to buy bread for these people? But he knew what his plan was. And so also, when it comes to God's plan for hungry people today, he does have a plan, and that is for all of us who have capacity, who have more than we need, to feed those who are hungry. And I reflect on that because I just got this in the mail. What this is from Pastor Robin Brown, who's the Director of Congregational Mission Funding, and she is saying with this certificate that St. John's Lutheran Church of Des Moines, Iowa, is one of the 156 most generous congregations to ELCA, World Hunger, and Lutheran Disaster Response, thanking us. And of course, we have our DMARC baskets here at the church. I would invite you to remember this next time you come. They take checks, of course, where they can buy in bulk, or non-perishable items, which you can just drop in the cart to make sure that those of our closer neighbors have enough to eat through the food pantry network of DMARC. But the real point of this story comes when the people recognize what Jesus has done through this miracle of taking care of people who hunger, feeding them physically and spiritually both. And that is indeed our calling as well. And so we remember, even in these months to come, hopefully the pandemic will wind down very, very soon. So many people continue to suffer, but even apart from that, we know that over 7,000 people a day die as a direct result of food shortage and resource shortages around the world. We can't let that happen. And so I invite you to continue to be generous, just as we have been recognized for in providing support for those who have need. Bless you, and bless all of those who hunger and thirst for food, for the basics of life, and for the gospel. Thank you for your partnership in ministry. Thanks for joining me.